Welcome to Financial Fitness on Continual Shift. Make shift happen, because in life, shift happens. I've got Jim Smith here today. Hey, Jim, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Dave. How are you doing?
I'm doing terrific. The markets, again, continue to be volatile. Lots about the banks, lots about the airlines. Yet where you and I are focused on is some gold and silver. And I understand you did some trades this weekend, and how'd that work out for you?
Well, I'm changing my strategy a little bit. I had call options on SLV, and when we look at that chart, you'll see why I'm a little disappointed in the performance of SLV relative to GDXJ, which is the junior miners ETF. And so I'm hoping that we get a pullback because it's really outperformed. Whether you're looking at gold, silver, or even GDXJ is just, it's like a bottle rocket. It's going straight up.
Okay, so let's, again, you basically are trading options against SLV, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm buying call options, and I took half the position off because we had that little spike. And I know sort of do as I say, not as I do.
Well, no, actually, you took some profit.
People take it off because it's about to go ballistic. But
yeah, you took some profit. There's no, you don't go broke by taking profit.
Exactly. That's what I was.
So congrats.
I'm hoping we get a nice little pullback so I can get back in at a better level with more a bigger position. Only instead of SLV, I'm thinking about call options on GDXJ because
we're going to go off the charts in a minute. It's just I'm going a little bit more into the psychology here. And for our listeners, again, Jim is a technical analyst. He loves the GANN process, and he spends a lot of time and energy looking for those short-term moves and long-term moves. I'm a traditional investor who will also trade around positions. So what I did this past week was I noticed that SLV had a little momentum, so I added to my position. I'm keeping a core position, and I'll add and sell as we get some momentum going. So two different approaches. I'm happy that Jim made some money this week. He had the calls on SLV, and he took some profit. And now we're going to talk about next week. So let's go off the charts with GANN analyst Jim Smith, and this is the chart we're going to look at today. And so let's have you talk about it, Jim. We got a 5-year review of SLV. I believe this would be GLD. And then way up here, we got GDX and GDXJ.
Yeah, you can see GDXJ is the junior miners, and GDX is just the large cap miners. GDXJ is really outperformed, and I had a core position in that, and I took some profit on that as well. Not because I don't think it's going to go higher. I'm just hoping that there's some cycles indicating a possibility of a near-term dip, because it has really rocketed like a bottle rocket.
Well,
so
we went from 20 up until 150. So we've had a 7-bagger on GDXJ over the last, 4 months? Is that right?
Well, that this is just relative comparison. Actually, GDXJ, I think it went from 20 to 54. Today is trading at 53. So this is just showing you the percentage relative to these other.
Okay. So relative comparison.
Yeah, relative comparison. And, I would say what it really says is on a long-term view, a lot of investors must be buying mining stocks. Funny thing is they're, and this is true, miners will often lead the metal themselves. So it is another indication that gold and silver are going to go up a lot because the miners have been moving in advance of the metals. So, silver's done nothing, very little. And gold is nearing new highs. But, look at the miners. The miners are going nuts. So that's kind of interesting.
So off the charts, you're suggesting the junior miners, particularly the junior gold miners, is where the activity's been on a relative basis. It's just been rocketing. And so as a trade, what would you consider doing as a trade in the next week?
Well, if we get a pullback in the junior miners, I would probably buy it. And any kind of pullback, 2, 3, 4 days, that's what you're hoping for. It's not a guaranteed setup, but if you, what I would say is don't sell the rallies, buy the dips, because you know this is the start of a long-term bull market for precious metals and the miners. So, you know, I can't guarantee you'll get a pullback, but if you do get one, you have to be buying it.
So you're bullish right now on both silver and gold, whether you're going to buy the mines or you're going to buy the index. And your favorite trade for the next week?
You know, honestly, I'm watching to see what happens with the S&P, and there's a big triangle formation. We don't have that on the chart, but if you look at the S&P, you could probably visualize it yourself. There's a huge triangle. And what I've been telling clients is don't act like you know what's going to happen, because we don't. But here's the thing. The market is smart, and sometimes it gives you a clue. It will, if you get a breakout, and any chartist will tell you this, a triangle is often a continuation pattern. So if you break out above 3182, and just to be safe, let's say 3232, which is the June 8th high. If you break that, you're probably going to the frickin' moon.
As in what level?
Well, I have a level 4388. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what the triangle, it's a, when you measure the base and you add it to the top of the triangle where you have the breakout, you get a target of 4388. I'm sure even the most bullish people out there are not looking for that.
No.
Now, that doesn't mean I believe that's going to happen. A lot of the GANN charts are pointing the opposite direction. So
we've been buying the puts, and so we did go short, which again, sometimes you do that because of the insurance component of it, and you like to be up if you go down. Yet for the next week, for the next 7 days, what would be a view that you have? You're like saying, look at the S&P. What about the metals?
Well, I'm just saying, if you're looking at the S&P, I would buy puts and calls. You're buying volatility.
Okay.
So the idea is if it breaks down, let's say you take out the 200-day moving average. You take that out, well, that means you've broken the triangle to the downside.
Right.
You're going to go down to 2100.
Okay.
So I'm saying you're either going to have a wild move up or a wild move down. It's cowboy time. You know, stay on the Bronco. How long can you stay on?
So is one of the ways to play that just maybe buy the VIX?
Well, I would just say you buy calls, out of the money calls, you buy out of the money puts, and you're going to lose on one of those positions, but hopefully you make more on the other side, you know, the side that you expect.
All right. So what would be some ways that people can reach out to you? And let's bring this to a close. The best way to reach out to Jim on understanding about GANN, about the technicals, and some views that you're looking to share.
Well, you could send me an email, James Smith, at GANN. GANN is GANN. So, you know, WD GANN. His last name was GAN. So it's GANNanalysis.net.
Very good.
So James Smith at GANNanalysis.net. And ask me about the cost of a 3-month trial subscription. We'll get you started. You try it out at a very reduced rate for new subscribers, and you see if it works for you. It's like a good way to learn GANN.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Jim. You have a great week ahead, and look forward to catching up with you next week to see what's happening off the charts.
All right. Good talking to you.